Yes, welcome back. Let's read the next one for this 11 pages. I like to read about the Windows 10 and Windows 10 demanding hardware requirement for Windows PAE, NX or XD bits or SSC2. I just read about SSC2. I have it from like Pentium 4. I have the SSC2. The NX bit or the Intel XD bits, that's from the Pentium 4 Prescott, but only the latest Pentium 4, but not Pentium D and Pentium Dual Core. Have it. I think this one is some old one. This physical address extension, I think that's from like Pentium 2 and 3, that's even older. But let's read it.
Physical address extension. In computing, physical address extension, PAE, sometimes referred to as page address extension, 1, is a memory management feature for the x86 architecture. PAE was first introduced by Intel in the Pentium Pro, and later by AMD in the Athlon processor. 2. It defines a page table hierarchy of 3 levels, instead of 2, with table entries of 64 bits each instead of 32, allowing these CPUs to directly access a physical address space larger than 4 GB, 232 bytes. The page table structure used by x86-64 CPUs when operating in long mode further extends the page table hierarchy to 4 levels, extending the virtual address space, and uses additional physical address bits at all levels of the page table, extending the physical address space. It also uses the topmost bit of the 64-bit pageable entry as a no-execute or NX bit, indicating that code cannot be executed from the associated page. The NX feature is also available in protected mode when these CPUs are running a 32-bit operating system, provided that the operating system enables PAE. Contents. History. Design. Page table structures. Hardware support. Operating system support: Microsoft Windows, Mac OS, Linux. Others. See also. References. Further reading. History. PAE was first implemented in the Intel Pentium Pro in 1995. 3. Although the accompanying chipsets usually lacked support for the required extra address bits. 4. PAE is supported by the Pentium Pro, Pentium 2, Pentium 3, and Pentium 4 processors. The first Pentium M family processors, Banias, introduced in 2003 also support PAE, however, they do not show the PAE support flag in their CPUID information. 5. It was also available on AMD processors including the AMD Athlon 6, 7, although the chipsets are limited to 32-bit addressing, 8, and later AMD processor models. When AMD defined their 64-bit extension of the industry standard x86 architecture, AMD 64 or x86-64, they also enhanced the paging system in long mode based on PAE. 9. It supports 64-bit virtual addresses, 10. 24. As of November 2018, 48 bits are implemented, 10. 120. 11. 52-bit physical addresses, 10. 24. And includes NX bit functionality. When the x86-64 processor is initialized, the PAE feature is required to be enabled before the processor is switched from legacy mode to long mode. 9. Design. With PAE, the page table entry of the x86 architecture is enlarged from 32 to 64 bits. This allows more room for the physical page address, or page frame number field, in the page table entry. In the initial implementations of PAE, the page frame number field was expanded from 20 to 24 bits. The size of the byte offset from the address being translated is still 12 bits, so total physical address size increases from 32 bits to 36 bits, i.e. from 20 plus 12 to 24 plus 12. This increased the physical memory that is theoretically addressable by the CPU from 4 GB to 64 GB. In the first processors that supported PAE, support for larger physical addresses is evident in their package EpiNote, with address pin designations going up to a 35 instead of stopping at a 31.12. Later processor families use interconnects such as Hypertransport or Quick Path Interconnect, which lack dedicated memory address signals, so this relationship is less apparent. The 32-bit size of the virtual address is not changed, so regular application software continues to use instructions with 32-bit addresses and, in a flat memory model, is limited to 4 GB of virtual address space. Operating systems supporting this mode use page tables to map the regular 4 GB virtual address space into the physical memory, which, depending on the operating system and the rest of the hardware platform, may be as big as 64 GB. The mapping is typically applied separately for each process, so that the additional RAM is useful even though no single process can access it all simultaneously. Later work associated with AMD's development of x86-64 architecture expanded the theoretical possible size of physical addresses to 52 bits. 10. 24-page table structures. In protected mode with paging enabled, bit 31. PG, of control register CR0 is set, but without PAE. x86 processors use a two-level page translation scheme. Control register CR3 holds the page-aligned physical address of a single 4 KB long page directory. This is divided into 1024 4-byte page directory entries that in turn, if valid, hold the page-aligned physical addresses of page tables, each 4 KB in size. These similarly consist of 1024 4-byte page table entries which, if valid, hold the page-aligned physical addresses of 4 KB long pages of physical memory, RAM. Enabling PAE, by setting bit 5, PAE, of the system register CR4, causes major changes to this scheme. By default, the size of each page remains as 4 KB. Each entry in the page table and page directory becomes 64 bits long, 8 bytes, instead of 32 bits, to allow for additional address bits. However, the size of each table does not change, so both table and directory now have only 512 entries. Because this allows only 1/2 of the entries of the original scheme, an extra level of hierarchy has been added, so CR3 now points physically to a page directory pointer table, a short table containing 4 pointers to page directories. The entries in the page directory have an additional flag in bit 7, named PS, for page size. If the system has set this bit to 1, the page directory entry does not point to a page table but to a single, large 2 MB page size extension. In all page table formats supported by x86 and x86-64, the 12 least significant bits of the page table entry are either interpreted by the memory management unit or are reserved for operating system use. In processors that implement the no execute or execution disable feature, the most significant bit, bit 63, is the NX bit. The next 11 most significant bits, bits 52 through 62, are reserved for operating system use by both Intel and AMD's architecture specifications. Thus, from 64 bits in the page table entry, 12 low-order and 12 high-order bits have other uses, leaving 40 bits, bits 12 though 51, for the physical page number. Combined with 12 bits of offset within page from the linear address, a maximum of 52 bits area available to address physical memory. This allows a maximum RAM configuration of 252 bytes, or 4 petabytes, about 4.5 bytes. On x86-64 processors in native long mode, the address translation scheme uses PAE but adds a fourth table, the 512 entry page map level 4 table, and extends the page directory pointer table to 512 entries instead of the original 4 entries it has in protected mode. Currently 48 bits of virtual page number are translated, giving a virtual address space of up to 256 TB. 148. In the page table entries, in the original specification, 40 bits of physical page number are implemented. Page table structures. No PAE, 4 kilobytes pages. No PAE, 4 kilobytes pages. No PAE, 4 megabytes pages. No PAE, 4 megabytes pages. With PAE, 4 kilobytes pages. With PAE, 4 kilobytes pages. With PAE, 2 megabytes pages. With PAE, 2 megabytes pages. Hardware support. Software can identify via the CPUID flag PAE whether a CPU supports PAE mode or not. A free-of-charge program for Microsoft Windows is available which will list many processor capabilities, including PAE support. 13. In Linux, commands such as cat/proc/cpuinfo can list the P flag when present. 14. As well as other tools such as the syslinux hardware detection tool. To run the processor in PAE mode, operating system support is required. To use PAE to access more than 4 GB of RAM, further support is required in the operating system, in the chipset, and on the motherboard. Some chipsets do not support physical memory addresses above 4 GB, FFFFFFFF in hexadecimal, and some motherboards simply do not have enough RAM sockets to allow the installation of more than 4 GB of RAM. Nevertheless, even if no more than 4 GB of RAM is available and accessible, a PAE-capable CPU may be run in PAE mode, for example to allow use of the No Execute feature. Operating system support. Microsoft Windows. 32-bit versions of Microsoft Windows support PAE if booted with the appropriate option. According to Microsoft technical fellow Mark Rusinovic, some drivers were found to be unstable when encountering physical addresses above 4 GB. 15. The following table shows the memory limits for 32-bit versions of Microsoft Windows. Memory limits on 32-bit editions of Microsoft Windows with PAE support: 16, 17, 18. Windows version memory limit: Windows 2000 Professional, Server 4 GB, Windows 2000 Advanced, Server 8 GB, Windows 2000 Data Center 32 GB, Windows XP Starter 0.5 GB, Windows XP Other editions 4 GB, Windows Server 2003 Web SP 22 GB, Windows Server 2003 Standard SP 24 GB, Windows Server 2003 Enterprise / Data Center SP 264 GB, Windows Storage Server 2003 Enterprise 8 GB, Windows Storage Server 2003 Other editions 4 GB, Windows Home Server 4 GB, Windows Vista Starter 1 GB, Windows Vista Other editions 4 GB, Windows Server 2008 Standard, Web 4 GB, Windows Server 2008 Enterprise, Data Center 64 GB, Windows 7 Starter 2 GB, Windows 7 Other editions 4 GB, Windows 8 All editions 4 GB, Windows 10 All editions 4 GB. The original releases of Windows XP and Windows XP SP1 used PAE mode to allow RAM to extend beyond the 4 GB address limit. However, it led to compatibility problems with third-party drivers, which led Microsoft to remove this capability in Windows XP Service Pack 2. Windows XP SP2 and later, by default. On processors with the No Execute, NX, or Execute Disable, XD, feature, runs in PAE mode in order to low NX.19. The NX bit resides in bit 63 of the page table entry and, without PAE, page table entries on 32-bit systems have only 32 bits. Therefore PAE mode is required in order to exploit the NX feature. However, client versions of 32-bit Windows, Windows XP SP2 and later, Windows Vista, Windows 7, limit physical address space to the first 4 GB for driver compatibility, 15, even though these versions do run in PAE mode if NX support is enabled. Windows 8 and later releases will only run on processors which support PAE, in addition to NX and SSE 2.2021, macOS. macOS X Tiger through macOS X Snow Leopard support PAE and the NX bit on IA32 processors. Snow Leopard was the last version to support IA32 processors. On x86-64 processors, all versions of macOS use 4-level paging, IA32E paging rather than PAE, to address memory above 4 GB. Mac Pro and Xserve systems can use up to 64 GB of RAM. 22. Linux. The Linux kernel includes full PAE mode support starting with version 2.3.23. 23, in 1999, enabling access of up to 64 GB of memory on 32-bit machines. A PAE-enabled Linux kernel requires that the CPU also support PAE. The Linux kernel supports PAE as a build option and major distributions provide a PAE kernel either as the default or as an option. The NX bit feature requires a kernel built with PAE support. 24. Linux distributions now commonly use a PAE-enabled kernel as the default, a trend that began in 2009. 25. As of 2012 many, including Ubuntu, and derivatives like Xubuntu and Linux Mint, 26. 27. Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6.0, 28, and CentOS, have stopped distributing non-PAE kernels, thus making PAE supporting hardware mandatory. Linux distributions that require PAE may refuse to boot on Pentium family processors because they do not show the PAE support flag in their CPUID information event how it is supported internally. 5. However, this can be easily bypassed, at least in Ubuntu, with ForcePE option. 29. Distributions that still provide a non-PAE option, including Debian, and derivatives like LMDE2, Linux Mint Debian Edition, 30, Slackware, and LXLE, typically do so with i386, i4.
Yes, break, because the camcorder is almost out of power, so but I can use my old Canon. My old Canon is ready, but I think I like to start uploads. Can go to kitchen and get some cola. So no, I will make the folders and start to upload these videos. But let's drink some cola. We have half a minute. Yes, cheers. I have to stop the video because the video is splitting.